to the state as if no contract was entered into. No? Kaya parang nasa kanila pa rin yung object dapat na binigay nila under the contract. Okay? Kaya nagkakaroon ng mutual restitution. Okay? There are 3 instances, however, no, na wala nang nagiging rescission. Okay? Hindi ka na pwede mag-rescind ng kontrata natin kung sakaling hindi mo kayang isoli kung ano man no, ang required na isoli mo. Kasi nga, nagkakaroon dapat ng mutual restitution. Kaya if you cannot return what you received under the contract, you cannot demand for the rescission because you yourself will not be able to comply with the obligation of mutual restitution. Ganon din kung sakaling ang object natin ay nasa innocent third party na. Now, ibig sabihin, the third party acquired the property in good faith. Okay? Kaya nagkaroon siya ng tinatawag nating good title. Now, kaya tuloy dahil good title ang na-acquire ng third person dito, hindi na natin pwedeng i-disturb no, yung kanyang ownership and possession. Kaya hindi na mababawi. Hindi ka na pwedeng mag-ask ng rescission. But the remedy available will be to ask for damages na lang. No? Kasi nga yung other party will not be able to return the object considering na na-transfer na to an innocent third party. Or kung sakali dito yung may lesion, no, ang ating ward or ang ating absentee, pero yung pagbebenta naman ng property was approved by the courts. No, in that case, hindi na rin pwedeng mag-rescission. No? In all these 3 instances. Kasi kunwari yan, no? Ang ward ang maraming property. Tapos yung guardian niya talaga, wala namang kapera-pera. Kung kunwari nagkasakit ang ward, no? Kaya kinailangan ibenta ng guardian kahit palugi na, no? Para lang may pantustos no? Sa ospital ng ating ward. Kaya pinayagan tuloy ng korte. Hindi na magkakaroon siya ng rescission kahit pa may lesion na more than 1/4. No? Basta may approval na ng court yung disposal ng property ng ating ward or yung property ng ating absentee. Ayan, i-correct nyo na lang to na dapat property of the ward yan. Hindi ko rin alam bakit guardian yung nakalagay. Anyway, okay? Now, the presumption of fraud. Ito na yung sabi natin na applicable sa in-fraud of creditors. No? At sabi nga natin kanina, magmamatter dito kung ang kontrata ba natin ay gratuitous okay, or onerous. Kasi in alienation by gratuitous title, we presume the alienation. No? Ito, yung kinoconsider natin as fraudulent kung sakasakaling the debtor did not reserve sufficient properties that will cover all his debts. No, namigay siya ng ari-arian tapos wala nang natira na pambayad niya ng utang. Okay? Now, on the other hand, pag onerous title naman, we presume that fraudulent if there has already been some judgment no, that was rendered against our debtor. No? At dito hindi required na si creditor mismo no, na nagkakaso ng action polyana yung nakakuha ng judgment na yan. Okay? Kaya dapat nagkaroon lang ng judgment kahit sino man ang kumuha, saka nagkaroon ng alienation by onerous title. The alienation okay, will be presumed fraudulent na. No? So let's give an example para you can visualize. No? Kunwari ganito lang ang bigay sa problem. Si debtor ay may utang kay creditor, let's say 1 million. Binenta ngayon ni debtor yung kanyang property kay X no, by sale. Okay, binenta niya yan as the last remaining property. Okay, yan na lang ang natitirang property no, ng ating debtor pero binenta niya pa kay X. Ano ngayon na magiging effect niya? No? Do we consider the sale as presumed to be fraudulent? The answer is no. No, kasi onerous ang contract of sale. And yung pagbebenta ng mga properties na walang natirang pambayad ay sa gratuitous title lang nagkakaroon ng presumption ng fraud. No, kaya ibig sabihin hindi naman agad-agad na fraudulent ang presumption natin sa sale na yan. Kasi for all we know, baka kaya yan binenta ng debtor ay para meron siyang pambayad sa creditor. 'Di ba? Kaya hindi naman agad-agad na nagiging fraudulent. Pero kung kunwari instead of sale, no, ang sinabi dito na transaction na ginawa ni D kay X ay donation. Okay? At ang dinonate niya nga ay yung kanyang last remaining property na in that case we presume the donation to be fraudulent na. No, kasi nga wala nang natira sa mga ari-arian niya na pwedeng ipambayad sa mga creditors na meron pa siya. Kaya presumed fraudulent na yung gratuitous alienation ng kanyang last remaining property. Okay? Now, on the other hand, let's say kunwari no, na sale nga ang pinasok na yan. Okay, yun nga lang dito kasi si A kunwari, no, ay nagkaso laban kay D. Nanalo na itong si A, no? Kaya nagkaroon na dito ng judgment, okay, laban kay debtor. So naunang nangyari yan, tapos tsaka ngayon binenta ni D kay X, no? Can we presume the contract of sale to be fraudulent na? Yes. Okay, dahil may judgment na against the debtor. Kahit pa ang nag-issue niyan ay pabor kay A. No, ang tanong ngayon dito, pwede bang si C kaya ang mag-aksyon polyana ng contract of sale? The answer is yes. Okay? Kasi kahit hindi siya ang nag-obtain ng judgment, basta meron ng judgment. Okay? Laban kay debtor, yung mga alienation by onerous title subsequent to the judgment will be considered or presumed fraudulent already. Okay? Now, there is 4-year prescriptive period in order to ask for the rescission of the contract. Now, yun nga lang ito, nag-iiba lang yung bilang ng 4-year period natin. Kasi kung kunwari yan ay guardian ang nagbenta relative to the ward. No, ito yung 4 years natin will be counted from the time the guardianship ceases. Okay, na hindi na kailangan ng guardian, no? Kaya kung kunwari, yan ay deaf mute who do not know how to write, no? Ibig sabihin, nakakabasa, nakakasulat na siya. Or kung kunwari, insane or demented persons, pero naka-recover na for good. Or kung kunwaring minor, naging 18 years old na, doon ang nagiging simula ng bilang ng 4-year period natin. Kung yan naman ay absentee, now, with regards deletion din, ang 4-year period natin dyan ay binibilang natin from the time the domicile is known. Okay, alam na natin kung nasan si absentee, no? Doon magsisimula yung 4-year period in order to ask for rescission. Pero kapag fraud, okay, ang nagiging basis natin dito, ang bilang natin will be from the discovery of the fraud, no? Ang bilang ng 4-year period, okay? Yun nga lang, in the case of HSBC versus Pauli, now there is created here an exception na kung sakasakaling ang involved dito ay registered land, no, from registration, ang magiging bilang natin, no, ng 4-year period. Kasi daw yung registration niyan sa Register of Deeds is constructive notice to the entire world. No, kaya yun ang magiging simula ng bilang natin ng discovery, no, in applying the 4-year period. Okay, with regards the prescription for rescission. Okay, now eto nga, nakapag-registered land yan, ang bilang natin will be from the registration kasi constructive notice sa nagiging treatment natin. Now, ito naman, I get it. The Supreme Court wanted to preserve, no, the integrity of the records, no, ng Registry of Deeds. Kaya yun nga lang, medyo weird kasi yan. Dahil it's on the premise na dahil public records yan, everybody's just checking the records at any given point in time. No, na parang ang idea, kaya siya constructive notice, dahil available naman for inspection yung Registry of Deeds. Now, which is not necessarily true. No? Pagdating sa totoong buhay, kanya-kanya ng planeta yung mga bawat Registry of Deeds. No? Yung sa Manila, may ganitong rule. Sa Quezon City, may ganitong rule. Pagdating mo Laguna, iba na naman ang rule. Nagiging kanya-kanya ang planeta nila, no? With regards to the requirements. Kaya, I get the idea, but yung practical application kasi ng concept na ito, nagiging problema lang, no, from a practical perspective. But again, 4 years will be the period of prescription with regards our rescission, no, as a remedy, okay, in a rescissible contract. Okay? Now, the second kind of defective contracts na meron tayo ay voidable. No? Sabi nga natin, 3 ang instances na nagiging voidable contract ito. Okay? And lahat yan may effect sa consent. No? Either because incapacitated or walang capacity to act yung isang party. Diyan nga pumapasok yung ating minor, insane, demented persons except during lucid interval, okay? At yung ating deaf mute, no? Who do not know how to write. Okay, including those suffering from civil interdiction na walang free disposal. Or kung may vitiation of consent. No, yan nga yung VIMFU natin. No? So yung violence, intimidation, mistake, fraud, and undue influence that was effected by one party. Okay, to induce the other party to enter the contract. And kung sakaling under a state of drunkenness or hypnotism, na nagiging voidable na rin. Again, by legal effect, a voidable contract is valid until annulled. Na, pero yan nga ay legal effect. Kapag meron kang sitwasyon sa problem na binigay sa'yo at ang tinanong ay what is the status of the contract? Kung voidable, voidable pa rin ang sagot natin. No, hindi yan nagiging valid ang sagot sa classification ng kontrata just because by legal effect, it's valid until it is annulled. Okay? Ngayon, the proper remedy again will be annulment. Now, the remedy of annulment will declare the contract as non-existing from the start. Now, at ang prescriptive period natin kamukha na sa rescissible contracts na 4 years din. No, yun nga lang dito, nag-iiba ang bilang natin ng 4-year period na ito. No, depending on the ground kung bakit yan voidable. Okay, so kung kunwari yung unang dalawa, now will be on vitiation of consent. Ito na nga yung sinasabi natin last time na lahat ng nasa unahan will be affecting voluntariness. Okay, in giving consent. No? Kaya it will be counted from the time the defect in the consent ceases. No? Pero pag mistake or fraud ito, no, ang bilang natin dyan will be from discovery of the fraud. Okay, from discovery of the fraud or the mistake, no? Doon ang bilang natin. Kaya kung kunwari nga naniloko ka lang, kaya ka pumasok sa kontrata, no, may fraud. Kung kailan mo na-discover, doon pa lang magsisimula ang 4-year period. Pero kung kunwari ikaw ay ginulpe, no, kaya ka pumasok sa kontrata, so may violence. Kung tuloy-tuloy lang ang paggulpi sa'yo, hindi pa nagsisimula ang 4 years. Kailangan tumigil muna. No, kaya tayo magsisimula ng bilang. Ang weird lang yung 4 na taong ka nang ginugulpe, hindi pa nagsisimula ang 4-year period mo. Na hangga't hindi nga nawawala yung defect sa consent natin. Pero kapag incapacitated ang one party, ang bilang ng 4 years ay when the guardianship ceases. No, kamukha na rin doon sa rescissible contract natin. Kaya kung kunwari ikaw ay minor, no, ang bilang ng 4-year period ay pag nag 18 years old ka na. No? Ang tanong ngayon dito ng iba, sir, paano po yung drunks, no, or hypnotized? Saan ang bilang ng 4-year period nila? Walang nakaspecify sa batas. No? Pero in all technicalities kasi, the state of drunkenness and hypnotism are temporary in character. No? Kaya kinabukasan, dapat dito rin siya papasok sa defect in the consent ceases. No? Pero agad-agad kasi, kung lasing ka, kinabukasan, no, ikaw dapat naka-recover na. No, wala na dapat yung kalas. Medyo weird naman yun na dire-diretso yung lasing mo. No? Although meron ako nabasa nga dati that the best cure for a hangover is to stay drunk. No, totoo naman. Wala ka naman talaga nagiging hangover habang lasing ka. No, pero ang idea nga dyan, makaka-recover ka rin, no, eventually. And when the defect in your consent ceases, magsisimula na dapat yung 4-year period kahit walang nakaspecify sa batas. Okay? Now, one other thing that can happen, no, when it comes to avoidable contract ay pwedeng magkaroon ng ratification. Okay? The ratification supposedly would cleanse, okay, the contract from any defects, no, that were initially in the contract, particularly on the consent given. Kaya nga dahil dito nagkakaroon ng cleansing effect ang ratification, nawawala na ang remedy ng annulment na meron tayo. No, hindi ka na pwede mag-annul ng isang voidable contract kung ito ay na-ratify na. Kasi pag na-ratify na yan, hindi na siya voidable. No? Magiging valid na ang kanyang classification. Okay? So, with regards to ratification, this can be effected by the guardian of an incapacitated person, considering that the guardian now will exercise authority, okay, in behalf of the incapacitated person. Kaya pwedeng siya na, no, ang magra-ratify ng kontrata na pinasok ni incapacitated. Okay? And hindi kailangan dito na papayag pa yung other party. No? One-sided lang ang pag-ratify nito. Okay? Kaya kahit yung incapacitated lang or the person whose consent was vitiated, ang nag-ratify sapat na yon, no, to make the contract valid na. Okay? And supposedly, ang sabi nga natin, it would cleanse the contract from all the defects. Kaya wala na ang remedy of annulment once the contract is already ratified. Take note, however, that the ratification can be done expressly, okay, by the parties, kahit man oral or written yan, pero pwede rin kasing implied. Now, like for example, if you continue to receive the benefits of the contract, no, pwede na rin yung maging implied ratification. Okay? At in that case nga, wala na yung remedy of annulment natin. So, kunwari, no, in 1-bar exam question, meron ditong lessor, 17 years old siya in 2024 when he entered the contract with the lessee. Okay, so voidable ang kontrata dahil minor si lessor at the time the contract was entered into. No? Ngayon, in 2027, Okay? Nagsisik na ngayon ng annulment. Okay? Ito, nagbayad lang ng renta ang ating lessee. Okay? Nagsik na ngayon ng annulment itong lessor natin. No? It would look like na meron pa siyang pasok pa sa prescriptive period. No? Kasi supposedly 2025 pa siya magiging 18. No? Doon pa lang magsisimula yung 4-year period natin to seek annulment. Pero ang tanong dito, pwede ka pa bang mag-annul nitong kontrata na ito? The answer is no. Na kasi from 2025 nung time na siya ay age of majority na until 2027, tinatanggap lang niya lahat ng renta na binabayaran ng lessee. So by continuously receiving the benefits under the contract of lease, the lessor has impliedly ratified the contract already. No? And again, kapag na-ratify na nga, wala na yung remedy of annulment natin. Okay? Now, ano naman ang characteristics ng annulment natin? Na unang-una, sino ang pwedeng mag-seek ng annulment? Only the injured party. Kaya nga dito, kahit yung creditors ng victim or ng injured party ay hindi rin pwede na mag-seek ng annulment. Even of course, the person who vitiated the consent of the other party or the one who is capacitated. No? Kaya nga it all boils down to one idea that only the injured party can seek for the annulment. No other party to the contract can do that. No? Kaya in one board exam question, yes, sa board exam, no, natanong ito na si seller supposedly ay nagbenta kay buyer ng kotse. No? 17 years old ang seller na ito. Ang kwento, or ang buyer rather, ang kwento dito pa, si S supposedly ay lumipat kasi ng trabaho. No, tapos yung trabaho niya nasa tapat na lang ng bahay niya kaya hindi niya na kailangan yung kotse niya. No, kaya niya ngayon binenta sa buyer. Yun nga lang minor. Nagbayad ngayon si buyer dito ng 300,000. Okay? Ang tanong ngayon dito, eventually si S no ay na-assign sa malayo. Okay, kahit ang main office ay nasa tapat lang ng kanyang bahay pero na-assign siya to a different location. Kaya kailangan niya ngayon ulit ang kotse. Ang tanong ngayon, can S ask for the annulment of the voidable contract because B is a minor? The answer is no. No, kasi nga siya yung party capacitated. Okay? Kaya hindi siya pwedeng mag-seek ng annulment. Ngayon, if it turns out na itong si B pala ay may loan, okay, contract naman dito sa kanyang creditor for 300,000. At wala nang ibang properties ngayon si B na pambayad dito sa creditor natin na ito. Pwede bang si C ang mag-annul ng contract of sale na ito para mabawi yung cash na pinambayad niya? Hindi pwede. No, kasi even the creditors of the party who can ask for annulment will not be allowed to do that. No, again, only the injured party or the person whose consent was vitiated can ask for annulment. Logically, kung kunwari, ginulpe, syempre yung nanggulpe, hindi siya pwedeng mag-ask ng annulment kasi siya ngayon namilit eh. Okay? Kaya injured party lang din ang pwedeng mag-ask ng annulment. Ito lang kakaiba dito. Na kung minority ang magiging basis kung bakit yan voidable contract pero nagkaroon ng misrepresentation relative to the age, ang treatment natin dyan ay stop na yung minor. No? Kaya magiging valid na rin ang kontrata at hindi na siya pwedeng mag-annul if he led another person to believe na siya ay of age na when he entered the contract. Ang idea kasi dito, kung kinaya niyang manloko ng ibang tao at naniwala yung ibang tao na age of majority na siya, to protect the person who is innocent and merely believe the misrepresentation, ang magiging treatment natin kay minor ay parang of majority age na din. Kaya may estopel na papasok dyan para sa ating minor. Okay? Now, kung sakali naman na mawawala ang object, dito, ganito na lang para mas madali. If the cause of the loss, okay, let's say, or rather, the cause kung bakit voidable ang ating kontrata, cause kung bakit voidable ang kontrata natin will be vitiation of consent. Vitiation of consent. Ayan. Okay, in that case, whether the loss will happen by fault, okay, or kahit man yan ay fraudulent or by fortuitous event, rather. Ang tanong dito ay pwede pa bang magkaroon ng annulment? No? Kung nagkaroon na nga ng loss ng object, ang sagot ay hindi na. Now, whether it is by fault of the injured party or through fortuitous event, yung loss, hindi na siya makakapag-annulment. Kasi as we will discuss later on, annulment would also require mutual restitution. Okay, na kailangan silang magsolian, no? Kaya kung hindi mo na maisosoli, yung natanggap mo under the contract, and then you cannot ask for the annulment anymore, no? Pero kung sakaling incapacity ang magiging basis kung bakit ito ay voidable contract at may fault on the part of the incapacitated party kung bakit nagkaroon ng loss, wala na rin siyang magiging remedy of annulment. No? Dahil nga hindi na niya supposedly masosole, pero pag yan ay fortuitous event, pwede pa. No? Kaya nga ang term na ginagamit ng batas dito is that the loss of the thing, okay, will not, no, hinder the remedy of annulment on the part of our incapacitated party. Bakit ganyan? Kasi as we will discuss in a while, as a general rule, the incapacitated party is not required to comply with mutual restitution. No, kaya kahit nawala na yan by fortuitous event, pwede ka pa ring mag-annulment kasi hindi naman siya obliged to return. No, ang nagiging problema lang dyan talaga ay ito. Kasi even Justice Paras and Justice Horado, problema nila yan na parang paano mo naman masasabi na yung incapacitated party ay at fault kung hindi niya nga alam, no? Or hindi niya maintindihan yung kanyang pinapasok. 'Di ba? Para paano mo masasabi na at fault? Pero again, tayo ay mga mortal lang. At ang nakalagay sa batas, if the loss will be done with fault, okay, or fraud for that matter, on the part of the incapacitated party, wala pa rin ang remedy of annulment natin. Okay? Ganun pa rin ang magiging effect niyan with regards the remedy of annulment. Okay? Now, the effects of annulment, again, will be mutual restitution. No? That they will be required to return to each other whatever they received under the contract, together with any fruits or kung may binayaran presyo, kasama din yung interest. Katulad na rin sa rescission. No? Na ang goal nga natin dito ay parang walang contract na pinasok ang mga parties natin. Pero syempre, kung services yan ang nirender mo, hindi naman na isusoli, no, yung serbisyong binigay mo, and then the value of the services will then be the basis for the recovery of damages. Okay? Pero kung incapacitated nga, ang general rule natin dyan ay hindi naman siya required not to make any restitution. Kaya nga sinasabi natin na kung fortuitous event ang loss, pinapayagan pa rin siyang mag-annul dahil wala namang requirements sa kanya, no, na isole yung natanggap niya under the contract except to the extent that he may have benefited. Okay, yun lang, no, yung magiging exception na pwede nga siyang magsole, no, or mare-require na magsole. Okay? And kung sakali dito, as a rule, kapag hindi mo na nga kaya isole yung natanggap mo under the voidable contract, you cannot ask for annulment anymore. No, considering nga na supposedly ay wala ka na, hindi ka na makakomply sa restitution. But, pwede pa rin magkaroon ng annulment at kung hindi mo na maisole yung object, you will just have to pay the value of the thing at the time of the loss together with any applicable interest. Okay? And kung sakasakali nga na hindi ka makapagsole, ito na yung binanggit natin, na by virtue of annulment, then you cannot ask for annulment anymore because you yourself will not be able to comply, no, with the mutual restitution obligation that will be produced by annulment. Okay? Sige, for lack of nag-11 na, hindi ko pa rin natapos. Ano ba yan? Anyway, sige, we can end there na muna for today, no? Because 11 o'clock na. Or okay lang ba mag-extend na lang tayo? Extend na lang tayo, natapusin ko na. Anyway, unenforceable contracts, tatlo. No, wala naman kayong choice pag nag-decide ako. Okay, tatlo no, ang magiging unenforceable contracts natin dito. Okay, at tatlong, ito nga yung ating unenforceable contracts because unauthorized. Okay, na-discuss natin sa concept ng consensuality ng contracts. Those that will be covered by the statute of frauds na in-enumerate na natin kanina. Now, those that will require them to be in writing. Otherwise, they will be enforceable. And yung pangatlo natin dito is when both parties are incapacitated. Now, na-discuss na natin doon sa ating 5 situations concerning consent. No? So, unauthorized, okay, failure to comply with the statute of frauds, and when both are incapacitated. Yan ang tatlong unenforceable contracts natin. Okay? So, yung unauthorized, as we have mentioned, dahil wala namang authority to give consent in behalf of the represented party, or kung meron mang authority but they acted beyond the authority that was given, no? And yung both parties are incapacitated, wala naman ng problema, no? Kasi nga, ang idea dyan ay dahil they will just invoke their incapacity as a defense against each other, no? Kaya nagiging unenforceable na lang ang treatment natin. Okay? Now, dito tayo ngayon magfo-focus sa covered ng Statute of Frauds. So sabi natin na nagiging purpose dito ay dapat in writing na yung nagiging agreement or yung kontrata natin that will be covered by the Statute of Frauds. Na kaya dito nga ang general rule natin dito is that you cannot use oral testimony. Now, you will not be allowed to use oral testimony in order to prove the existence of the contract. Okay? Kasi ang magiging sistema nga dyan is that it will only be your word against the other party. Na kaya hindi pwedeng gumamit ng oral testimony to prove the existence of the contract. And dahil nga hindi mo ma-prove ang existence ng kontrata at wala kang in writing, hindi mo tuloy ma-enforce. Na kaya nagiging unenforceable yung kontrata natin dito. Ano to? Clarify ko na po yung question number 14 sa handout. Oh my God, pag yung question kasi I can no, pero a contract entered into by a minor who misrepresents his age. Okay, ang answer po kasi ay voidable on the premise siguro baka the other party is supposedly incapacitated. No, pero kung capacitated yung other party, then it would be considered valid na. Attorney, if bawal po mag-annul si minor na misrepresent ng age, ano po ba ang status ng kontra? Valid na. Na magiging valid na nga kasi stop na ang magiging treatment natin ay capacitated siya. Alright, so balik tayo dito. No? We enumerated already the 6 transactions that we have mentioned earlier now that will be covered by the Statute of Frauds. Yung una, not to be performed within a year. Pangalawa, yung guarantee and surety ang example natin to answer for another person's death or miscarriage. Pangatlo, kapag in consideration of marriage, except hindi nga covered pag based on mutual promise to marry. Pang-apat ay yung sale of personal property or chattels na ang price ay 500 or more. Okay? Pang-lima yung lease of real property na more than 1 year at sale of real property and a representation with regards to the credit of a third person. Now, again, yan yung anim no, na nabanggit na natin kanina. Sir, sa oral testimony, what if third party po ang may oral testimony pertaining to the contract? Ano po ang treatment? It doesn't matter. Oral testimony regardless kung sino ang nagbibigay is not allowed. No, kaya nga nire-require na in writing. Kaya hindi kailangan na yung parties lang ang pinagbabawalan. No, any person will not be allowed to provide oral testimony to prove the existence of the contract. So, eto ngayon ang rules natin dito. Unang-una, nag-a-apply lang ang Statute of Frauds natin no, na pinagbabawalan nga. Ito nga yung general rule natin, no, that you cannot use oral testimony, okay, to prove the existence of the contract. Okay, pero ang premise kasi dito is that the contract is supposedly entirely executory. Na anong ibig sabihin yan? Wala pang portion ng kontrata na na-perform na. Okay, talagang lahat ay gagawin pa lang. No? Kaya executory ang nagiging treatment natin. Kaya ang unang exception, okay, na meron tayo dito ay kapag nagkaroon na nga ng part performance. Okay, or performance no, of the contract itself. Okay, pwede na yan, no? Or hindi na siya magiging unenforceable kung sakaling may part performance. Or in other instances, nga yung sinasabi na nagkaroon na ng some benefit. Okay, that was already derived under the contract, no? Kaya hindi na siya magiging unenforceable pa. Okay? Kaya kung kunwari, no, ito in one board exam question din. Supposedly daw si Mother Lily, okay, na kilalang producer ay nakatambay lang sa isang hotel. No, nakita niya kunwari diyan si Catherine Soberano, ganun pinaghalo yung pangalan pero sobrang luma na ng question. Ang sikat pa nun ay si Judy Ann Santos at si Claudine Barreto. Kaya nilagay doon na Claudine Santos. No, dahil medyo modern na tayo, Catherine Soberano. Okay, yung nakita ni Mother Lily sa hotel, no? Sabi niya, Kat, meron, di ba? First name basis. So sabi niya, Kat, meron akong bagong project, no? Kukunin kitang artista, babayaran kita dyan ng 200 million. Okay, para sa pag nagsimula na tayo ng shooting. Yun nga lang yung shooting dito, no, ay magsisimula pa 18 months pa. Now, after that. Pero sabi ni Mother Lily, dahil wala ako ditong dalang kontrata, oral lang muna yung agreement natin dito. No, pero para lang masigurado, bibigyan na kita ng 2 million ngayon kasi yan lang ang laman ng wallet ko. O, di ba? Ang taray ng wallet ni Mother Lily. Kasya ang 2 million piso. No? Kaya yan ngayon ang pinambayad niya. So dumating ngayon ang 18 months at magsisimula na nga yung shooting. Nagbago na ang isip ngayon ng artista, sabi ni Catherine Soberano dito, na no, the contract is unenforceable because it's oral. And supposedly under the first paragraph of the Statute of Frauds, if the obligation is not to be performed within 1 year, it will be unenforceable if not in writing. Na ang, diba? Yes. Nag-aaral din siya ng batas. Na ang tanong ngayon dito, tama ba siya? Mali. No? Kasi mayroon ng binayaran sa kanya. Bakit nagiging exception yan na enforceable na ang kontrata? Kasi yung part performance or yung benefit derived under the contract, you are allowed to prove by oral testimony. Now, again, ang pinagbabawalan natin sa statute of fraud is oral testimony to prove the existence of the contract. But you can testify to the benefit. Okay, that was already derived under the contract. No, kaya kung yan ay papayagan na ng korte, it will then in turn prove the existence of the contract kaya nagiging enforceable na. No, kung sakaling meron tayong part performance, okay, or some benefit that was derived under the contract na. If you remember, no, yan din na naging relevance dun sa ating example na merong 5,000 pulutan at yung one case ng Jack Daniels. No? Because the Jack Daniels and the pulutan were the benefit. Okay, already derived under the contract. Kaya kahit nga oral sale of land yan, enforceable na. No? Dahil you can prove that by oral testimony already. Okay? Pangalawa, no, na rule na tatandaan natin dito is that the list is exclusive in character. Anong ibig sabihin? Pag may mga transactions na hindi papasok no, sa mga nabanggit natin na statute of frauds, then in that case, hindi siya covered ng statute of frauds. No, ganun lang ibig sabihin, exclusive, no, na kaya pag hindi pumasok, hindi yan kasali. Kaya kung kunwari, no, eto, may transaction tayo between a lessor and lessee, okay, pero dito kotse, ang kanyang pinaupahan sa lessee, ang term ng lease natin dito, let's say ay 18 months. No, kaya more than 1 year. Pero ang rental payments ay 10,000 pesos per month. No, kung kanwari na ang lease na ito na they entered into is oral, what will be the status of the contract? Valid and enforceable pa rin. Bakit? Kasi hindi yan pwede sa first paragraph natin, or hindi yan papasok doon sa ating fourth paragraph. Bakit? Kasi yung fourth paragraph natin ay sale, okay, of personal property lang, the price of which is 500 or more. Kaya pag lease, hindi kasali, no, doon sa fourth paragraph na yan. Sir, doon sa panglima, na nakalagay lease for a period of more than 1 year, pang real property lang yon. No, kaya dahil personal property yung lease natin dito, in that case, hindi rin siya covered. No, kaya nga very specific tayo with regards the list now that we are mentioning. Kaya pag wala dyan sa listahan, hindi na covered ng statute of frauds. Okay? Yun ang ibig sabihin natin that the list is exclusive. Okay? Now, pangatlo is that it can be the subject of a waiver. Now, in fact, yan ang magiging second exception natin dito. Ibig sabihin dyan, nagkaroon dito ng oral testimony, okay, that was provided to prove the existence of the contract but you did not object, okay, to the presentation of the oral evidence, no, na supposedly nga ay bawal. Okay, kaya dapat pag may oral testimony, may witness na ipepresent, sasabihin dapat ng abogado, Your Honor, objection. Now, statute of frauds. Okay, dapat ginawa niya yan. Kasi pag hindi, by the rules of court, the evidence will then be admissible na. Now, if you fail to object to the admissibility of an evidence, it will become admissible already. No? Kaya magkakaroon na tuloy ng oral testimony that will prove the existence of the contract, magiging valid and enforceable na. No? Ang kontrata na iyan. Okay? Ito na nga yung supposedly, okay, na may oral evidence but you fail to object there too. Okay? But take note that the statute of frauds is a personal defense. No? Kaya hindi yan pwedeng i-invoke ng mga third parties if they are not a party to the agreement itself. Okay? And ang sabi nga natin na isa pang exception ay kapag nakatanggap ka na ng benefits under the contract, which would technically fall under the exception na nga na nagkaroon na ng part performance, no, nung kontrata that you can prove by oral testimony, no, at dahil nga yung benefit ay mapapatunayan by oral testimony, it will then in turn prove the existence of the contract already. Okay? Pero yun nga, sabi natin, exclusive ang listahan. Okay? At iingatan nyo lang na dapat hindi nagkakaroon ng interchange yung mga provisions or yung mga paragraphs ng Statute of Frauds natin. Kasi kunwari, ayan, in one bar exam question, si X kunwari ay barangay captain. Ayan. Now, may joke pa nga siya dyan, supposedly, na sumakay sila mga barangay officials sa isang bangka. No, nung lumulubog na yung bangka, sabi niya doon sa kanyang mga kasamahan, "Uy, lahat kayo hawak sa akin." No, sabi nila, "Bakit po, Kap?" "Dahil ako ang kapitan." No, kaya yan, no? So barangay captain siya, he was authorized by the sangguniang pambarangay na siya ay pwedeng bumili ng lupa. No, a small piece of land kung saan lang itatayo yung normal na makikita ng mga EPAL na officials natin, di ba? Na laging may isang portion ng lupa na naka-enumerate yung mga pangalan nila. So, kagalang-galang barangay captain, mga kagawad, lagi kami makikitang ganyan. So, ganyan yung bibilhin niya. Na ngayon, kunwari, nakahanap siya ngayon ng seller. Okay? Si barangay captain was authorized to buy the land. Nakahanap ng seller dito, nagkaroon sila ng oral sale lang. Kasi yung lupa na binibenta ni Esa sobrang liit, ang presyo lang was 499 pesos. Ang tanong ngayon dito, what is the status of the contract? Unenforceable pa rin. Bakit unenforceable? Kasi sa fifth paragraph yan papasok na sale of real property. And sa sale of real property, wala naman nakalagay na minimum price required. Yung 500 or more ay nasa sale ng personal property na nasa fourth paragraph. No, kaya nga sinasabi ko sa inyo, iingatan nyo lang din na hindi dapat nagmi-mix no itong mga paragraph na ito kasi very strict tayo sa kung ano lang ang laman ng paragraph, yun lang ang magiging applicability niya. No, ganun na magiging rule na meron tayo relative to the statute of frauds. Okay? And the last defective contract will be void contracts. Again, no, ang idea natin ng void contracts ay dahil may problema tayo sa essential elements of consent, object, or cause. At dahil nga essential elements ang nawawala, non-existent ang mga kontrata na ito. No? And as a rule, it will not produce any legal effect. Okay? Wala dapat nagiging legal effect ang mga void contracts na ito. No? Except, when we go to the law on sales, isa lang exception dyan with regards the sale to an innocent purchaser for value. No? But we will not highlight that just yet. No? Dito na lang muna tayo sa general rule na walang legal effect ang isang void kontra. Kaya hindi siya pwede maging source ng karapatan, hindi siya pwede maging source dapat ng obligation. Kasi nga void ang kontrata na iyan. Kaya again, mukha lang marami na itong void contracts. Pero mapapansin nyo nga dyan, laging ang may problema lang ay essential elements. Kaya dahil natatandaan mo na kung ano ang essential elements, hindi ka na problema kung kailan yan void contract. Okay? So dito, kunwari yung una, na dito cause or object ang unlawful. Okay? Which again, as we have mentioned, ang requirement natin sa cause ay dapat existent and lawful. Okay? Sa object naman, ang requirement natin ay not contrary to law. No, public morals, good customs, no? Kaya yan nagiging unlawful na, magiging void na ang kontrata dahil technically walang cause or object yung kontrata natin. Okay? Pangalawa, na dito naman consent ang nagiging problema. Ito nga yung sinasabi natin na absolutely simulated or fictitious because the parties did not intend to be bound by the contract. Kaya technically nawawala yung consent as an essential element kaya nagiging void na. Yung pangatlo ay cause or object din na non-existent. No, kaya sabi nga natin ang requirement sa cause ay dapat existing at lawful. No, at itong object naman natin ay dapat within the commerce of man. No, ganun ang concept ng existing ang object natin. Okay? And also, kung sakaling may object ka pero outside the commerce of man, okay, considered na rin yan as non-existing. Kaya dahil wala yung essential element na object, void na rin ang ating kontrata. Okay? Now, kung sakasakali lang din that it contemplates an impossible service. So again, sa object, na naman ito kasi ang requirement natin nga for services ay dapat possible. No? Kaya kung yan ay impossible, nagiging void na rin ang ating kontrata from the beginning pa lang. Okay? And kung sakali nga ito, yun na-discuss natin sa rules on interpretation. No? Nasabi natin yung least transmission of rights at greatest reciprocity ay ina-apply lang pag incidental matters. Okay? Pero if the doubt would pertain to the principal object, nagiging void na. Nagiging void na kasi ang datingan nga ay parang walang void, and those that may be provided for by law as void, in that case magiging void na din kahit walang defect with regards the essential elements that were provided. And a good example nga dito ay yung para sa alien na hindi nga natin pinapayagan na bumili ng lupa, okay, or yung husband and wife natin na hindi pwedeng mag-enter into a contract of sale with each other. No, those are specifically declared by law as void. Okay? Ito lang ang nagiging catch dito, no? Kasi ang nagiging question kadalasan, naghahalo-halo yung circumstances. Okay? Like for example, in one board exam question, sabi dyan yung husband and wife entered into a contract of sale concerning a car. Now, supposedly, ang price ng car nito ay 300,000 pesos at oral sale lang daw ang pinasok nila. Now, and to convince the wife, nagkaroon daw dito ng intimidation. No, kaya pinasok ni wife yung contract of sale kung saan binenta yung kotse where the value of the car is supposedly 600,000. So nagkaroon ka pa dito ng lesion na 50%. Ang tanong ngayon dito, what is the status of the contract? No, kaya pag tinignan mo yan, dahil may intimidation, mukha siyang voidable. Dahil may lesion, baka rescissible siya. No, at dahil oral sale of car na ang presyo ay 300,000, baka unenforceable under the statute of frauds. Pero ang magiging sagot natin dyan ay void. No, because again, under Article 1490, they are specifically not allowed to enter into a contract of sale with each other pag husband and wife. At kapag ang kontrata ay void na, void na magiging classification niya regardless of the other circumstances. Okay, yan ang magiging sagot natin dyan, na void yan because it is specifically declared by law as such. Ang idea kasi, pag ginawa mo pa siyang voidable, ginawa mong rescissible, ginawa mong unenforceable, kung void naman siya talaga dapat, parang nagkakaroon patuloy ng remedy na magiging allowed. Kapag void ang kontrata, they cannot be the subject to ratification. Okay? And dapat hindi ka pwedeng mag-waive ng defense of illegality ng isang kontrata. Ito, kaya ang tawag natin sa remedy, kapag rescissible, rescission. Pag annulment, kapag voidable, unenforceable, pwedeng maging enforceable based on the exceptions to the statute of frauds. Pero pag void contracts, ang tinatawag natin ay declaration of nullity. Okay? At kapag declaration of nullity ang pinag-uusapan, literal na pinapa-declare mo lang sa korte. So void naman talaga siya, pinapa-recognize lang or para maging official lang na ito talaga ay void. Yun lang ang pinapagawa mo. Pero hindi ang korte ang nagde-declare sa kontrata na void. Void na talaga siya, nire-recognize lang ng korte na talagang void siya based on the factual circumstances. Okay? At pag void ang contracts natin, supposedly walang prescriptive period in order to file the declaration of nullity. Kahit umabot na ng 50 years, 100 years, void pa rin yan. And you can still ask the court for a confirmatory declaration with regards it being considered as a void contract. And again, it's not subject to ratification. In fact, sabi natin, kahit reformation, hindi pwede dito. Or kahit novation, hindi rin pwede. Kasi nga pag void yan, non-existent na. You cannot cure it by reformation, novation, or ratification lang. Okay? Kasi nga non-existent dapat yan na walang magiging legal effects na ipoproduce. Okay? And nevertheless, the defense of illegality of a contract is still personal. Kaya hindi yan maaapektuhan ng third parties or hindi nila magagamit itong defense na ito with regards third parties. Okay? Kasi yung parties involved lang dapat ang maaapektuhan ng pagka-void ng isang kontrata. Ngayon, ito ngayon na magiging effects natin dito. Na kung sakaling void ng kontrata, ang una natin tinitignan ay sino ang at fault. Okay? If it is only one party, okay, who will be at fault, or both parties, however, considering na at fault sila pareho, or yung tinatawag nga natin in pari delicto, wala silang remedy of recovery towards each other. Kahit pa non-existent ang kontrata. Ang sinasabi dyan is that the courts will leave them as is. Because they will have no action or remedy against each other, both of them being at fault. Pero kung isang party lang ang innocent and the other party is at fault, the innocent party as a rule will be allowed to recover kung ano man ang binigay niya under the void contract. In fact, we are very specific rules with regards the recovery. Kung saan pinapayagan pa rin. So kunwari ito, ibig sabihin yung purpose ng kontrata ay hindi pa na-accomplish, one of the parties repudiated the contract. Papayagan siyang i-recover yung binigay niya. Okay? Ito, bigay tayo example para ma-visualize nyo. So kunwari itong si A, binigyan niya si B ng pera. Sabi niya, ito ang 100,000, okay? Patayin mo si C. Kaya void ang kontrata dahil may unlawful object. Okay, under the contract. Kasi ang object ng kontrata, kaya niya binabayaran si B, or gawin na natin 25,000 para makatotohanan. Kasi yan ang running rate ngayon for assassins. Kaya pag may makulit sa inyo, sabihan niyo ako, meron akong kakilalang gagawa niyan. 25K ang running rate ngayon. Depende sa risks involved. Nagkakaroon din ng risk assessment. Para madadagdagan yan depending on the contingency, kaya may hazard pay din. Pero ang idea dito, kunwari yan, kasi si B, X niya si C. Sabi, si A pala, X niya si C. Sabi ni A kay B, ito ang 25,000. Patayin mo yung X ko na, kunwari nagbi-bleep kasi nga nagmumura kunwari si A. Sabi niya, patayin mo yan si C, ito ang 25,000. Tapos hindi pa napapatay ni B si C, biglang tinawagan ni A si B. Sabi niya, wag na lang pala. Wag mo nang patayin si C. Mahal ko pa. Wag mo pa batayin. In that case, nagbago siya ng isip. Bago pa ma-accomplish ang purpose ng kontrata, papayagan siya dyan na makabawi pa rin ng 25,000 na binigay niya. Dahil supposedly nga, hindi naman na-accomplish ang kontrata. As long as public interest will be subserved by the return of whatever he gave under the contract. Okay? Pangalawa ay kung sakaling one of the parties is incapable of giving consent. The incapacitated party will be allowed to enter or to require the return of whatever it is he gave under the contract. Ang idea pa rin kasi dyan ay parang mahirap kasing masabi na at fault etong incapacitated party. Ang premise nga ay hindi niya alam yung terms ng kanyang pinapasok, kaya pinapayagan pa rin siya makarecover as if innocent party siya. Ganun na nagiging premise dyan. And pangatlo, kung hindi naman talaga illegal yung transaction, okay, but merely prohibited, at yung prohibition natin dito is to protect the party, okay, who will be allowed to recover. So for example, okay, etong si S ay beneficiary ng Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law. Kaya dito nabigyan siya ng lupa ng gobyerno na babayaran niya in installment sa land bank. Okay? Pero under the law, pinagbabawalan kasi yung disposal niyan within a 5-year period. Okay, na hindi niya dapat pwedeng ibenta. Kaya kung kunwari na binenta ni S yan kay B, nasa 3rd year pa lang na-acquire niya itong lupa na ito, void ba ang kontrata? Yes, because it is prohibited by law. But the sale of land is not illegal per se. At bakit ba natin pinagbabawalan na ibenta yan within 5 years? To protect the interests of the agrarian reform beneficiary. Kaya dito pinapayagan si S na mabawi. Okay, whatever he gave under the contract, kahit technically sila ay in pari delicto. Again, when public policy will be enhanced by allowing him to recover. Okay? And kung sakasakali na divisible ang kontrata natin, may portion na illegal, may portion na hindi, yung mga yung mga portion na hindi illegal will not be affected by the illegal terms. Although kadalasan, pag nakakita ka ng kontrata, meron ng tinatawag din na separability clause. Para by stipulation pa, klaro na kung may mga illegal na terms sa kontrata, sila lang talaga ang illegal. The other portions that are not illegal may still be enforced by the parties. Okay? Now, Eto lang, kung sakaling illegal ang kontrata natin, ang tinitingnan naman natin dito ay kung meron bang crime that was committed. No? As to the effects. Kasi kung may crime that was committed, ang gagawin dito, again, pag in pari delicto sila, walang action against each other. They will be left by the court as is. Na pero magiging prosecuted pa sila for the crime that was committed, and whatever it is the effects of the crime will be confiscated in favor of the government. Kaya kung kunwari, meron ka diyang taga Bureau of Customs na ahente, no, tas ikaw ay importer, nagkaroon kayo ng kontrata with each other na magsasmuggle ng goods. So illegal ang kontrata and it constitutes a criminal offense pa. No, kaya pareho kayong pwedeng kasuhan, wala kayong remedy against each other, and kung ano man yung in-import nyo na smuggled ay magiging confiscated na in favor of the government. Pero pag walang criminal offense, ang magiging difference lang dito ay walang prosecution involved. No? Dahil wala namang crime. Pero ganun pa rin tayo dyan na if both parties are in pari delicto, wala silang remedy against each other. Pero kung yung isang party lang ang at fault and the other party is innocent, then in that case, the innocent party will be allowed to recover what he gave under the contract. Okay? And that concludes the law on contracts, now which again will account for 6 questions. Okay? Based on the current TOS of the BOA. And the next topic na meron tayo for next meeting will be our handout number 3, which will be labor law and social security law. Kasi gusto natin na magkaroon na tayo kagad ng mga new topics no, that will be covered by the first pre-board pa lang. Okay? Kaya hindi puro traditional topics ang kino-cover natin sa first pre-board, na meron tayo mga bagong topics that were introduced in the October 2022 board exam. Let me address some of the questions here. Ang analogy po ba if ever na nag-e-exist ang 2 or more defects sa contract sa isang tanong kung ano yung mas defective ang isasagot or sa void lang po ina-apply? Generally, yung mas defective na ang magiging sagot mo dyan based on the circumstances. Na yung most defective ang nagiging sagot natin. Okay? Kasi yun nga, no, with regards to the remedies that will be available. So if ever mag-contract to kill tapos ni-retract pero ayaw po ibalik nung hard killer yung pera na binayad, pwede po ba isu sa court? Yes. Kaya nga sinasabi natin na allowed siyang ma-recover. No? In that case nga, magiging allowable ang recovery even by court action. Sir, kung ano po ang multiple if defects po ba, yung status talaga ay yung heavy or most effective? Yes, as we have mentioned earlier. Okay? Same lang po ba ang insane person sa those with unsound mind? No, not necessarily. No, those of unsound mind are not necessarily insane. No, yung insanity and dementia, no, are mental illnesses. Yung unsound mind can mean na dahil mahina lang ang pag-iisip niya or not capable of understanding, pero not necessarily na siya ay insane. Kaya yung unsound mind can be considered the subject of a guardianship, no? But not necessarily automatically na incapacitated siya. Ano pa yung iba? Wala na. Puro thank you na. Okay, you're welcome. No, kailan po magkakaroon ng quizzer? Gagawin kita agad-agad. No, padala ko agad sa'yo lang. May kaso din po ba siya sa court kasi may intent to hire a killer? Technically, the conspiracy to commit murder is not by itself a crime that will be prosecuted. No, kaya wala naman siyang kaso dahil lang nagpapatay siya pero hindi naman natuloy. No, wala namang ganun, no? Kasi kung hindi naman binaril, wala pa ring attempted, wala pa ring frustrated, no? Kaya pag conspiracy stage pa lang na pinaplano, hindi yan nagiging crime by itself. Okay? So, we addressed all the questions. That will be the law on contracts. I will leave you with this reminder lang, no? Because I'm sure at this point, kahit tayo nakaka 4 weeks pa lang, no? Feel nyo na kagad ang pressure na sabi mo, uy siya, ang bilis niya, ang dami niya na kagad natatapos. I just wanted to remind everyone that improvement is a personal process. Kanya-kanya tayo na nagiging pacing at hindi nagiging helpful kapag kino-compare lang natin ang progress natin with another person. It would be better to compare your current progress with what you are or what the progress you had the day before. No, ang importante lang naman ay nagkakaroon ka ng progress every day. No matter how slow it is, progress is still considered as progress. So don't be too hard on yourselves. No, we are still on the right track. Wala namang magiging pressure dito na kailangan tapos mo na lahat, no, at this point. Okay? Kaya nga tayo merong regular scheduled meetings din, no, para din may tamang pacing lang, no, sa ating pag-aaral kasi the pressure itself can be counterproductive. No, kaya yan lang ang reminder sa inyo. So maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga umattend ng ating lecture at para sa mga nanonood ng recording na ito. Sana masaya kayo na habang nanonood. So goodbye everyone. God bless, stay safe. Okay, and happy aral everyone. Thank you.